Hi again, everyone. Back in the Cobb TV studios on this fine January day with Cobb Chairman Mike Boyce for his weekly update, and it has been a busy week.
Yeah, it's everybody says that January is that doldrum period after the Christmas break, but that's certainly not been the case here in Cobb County. As you know, we had a major water break down at the South Cobb Water Treatment Facility that we've been dealing with now since Christmas, New Year's Eve. And we finally got that pretty much under control, but it's been a significant effort. But the good news is that we can finally redirect the water back to the water treatment plant. We no longer have any kind of an issue spoiling the environment, and we never jeopardize people's drinking water. But we still have a long way to go. As you know, the diver went down and wants to send out a sonar with the submarines down to see what's going on at the bottom of the dry well, which is now a wet well. So this is an ongoing saga, and we're far from completing it, because bottom line is we don't know what caused the break in the wet well.
And it's important to point out, too, that not only did we stop the overflows into Nickajack Creek, but we did a lot of remediation down there as well. We did
Absolutely, right. And we saw the pictures that we gave out last week. But this has been, again, you just can't plan everything, which is why I'm really glad that we had this contingency fund to address that issue right off the top.
And I know we've got a lot to talk about, so we'll just kind of move on to some other
Sure,
things.
right.
And you had mentioned in a meeting earlier this week how much you enjoyed being at the opening for the Special Olympics that was held here in Cobb.
Yeah, when I was in college for all 4 years, I worked with special needs kids, and so I've always had a special place in my heart for the Special Olympics. And this year, Cobb, once again for the 28th consecutive year, hosted the Winter Olympics for the state of Georgia. And I tell you, man, there's two kinds of places you go to where there's lots of energy. All right, one of them's in a Baptist church when they start singing, and the other one is when special needs kids hear music and start dancing. And I tell you, they blew the roof off the Civic Center on Friday night, because there were all these kids after the program out there dancing the floor, and they were just showing the true face of joy. And it's a great example of how Cobb, and the volunteers and the businesses in the business industry support what was truly an amazing program. And we're just really, really glad that I could just be there to let the people know that we're behind this program, and hope we are for many, many more years.
And I've been to several of these, and it always amazes me when you go talk to the people working there, they're almost all volunteers.
Yes, absolutely right. But you also talk to look at the kids. One of them, the sportsman of the year. This kid is a special needs kid, and yet he's an Eagle Scout. And you stand there and you look at these men and women, and there's nothing. They're not special needs. They are in their own way special, but I wouldn't use the word needs. They have found a way to take the challenge that was been given to them and to work through it and make something of their lives. They are real role models of what it means to face adversity and to take it by the reins and run with it. So both the sportsman and the sportswoman of the year, really highly popular, and it was just really great to hear their stories. And it motivates you that, here we are, people that don't have special needs, and yet I see these young men and women doing all these great things. So they're really special, and I'm glad the county supports that. Then
one of the next stops, at least on your tour this week, was down to Atlanta for the inauguration.
I got to go there Monday. Fortunately, Congressman Scott, his office, offered me the ability, a chance to go to the inauguration as well as go to the gala on Thursday night, and I accepted graciously, because obviously something like this only comes out once every 4 years. So the inauguration was really special. I think Governor Kemp, his narrative was right on target. He knows exactly what he wanted to do and where we're going to go, and we're in good hands. And he also set the tone for repairing bridges, which is what I think every smart public official should do. Is that campaigns are always rough. Sometimes things happen during there and things are said. So you repair those bridges, because you need to do that to move on to the future. And he said all the right things on Monday, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with him like we did with Governor Deal.
I was going to say, I don't think people realize the relationship that counties have with the state government and the governor. Governor Deal has been in this county many times announcing economic expansions.
Absolutely. We have been the beneficiary of the governor and his staff providing us projects for economic development that enhanced the prosperity of the county. We also benefited from the state legislature providing us with funding. For example, we got additional funding for our libraries. We also work with the Georgia DOT. They provide funding for some of the projects we have in the county. So this is a very important relationship, and it's one that has to be cultivated and given the appropriate amount of attention, because they could go lots of other places. 159 counties in this state, and we have to make sure that our 750,000 people, get their fair share of the pie. And I think we're doing the right thing to do that.
Then, as you continued on your tour, you cut a big ribbon I saw earlier today at a new grocery store in town.
Mm-hmm. There's a German international company called Lidl, Lidl, and we are getting the first 2 Lidl stores in the Atlanta metro area. Actually, we're the second and third store in the state of Georgia. So this morning, the opening was a little bit before 8 o'clock, but they gave out gift cards this morning for the early birds who got in line. And the first gentleman, as a matter of fact, it was a man and his wife, they got in line this morning at 3 o'clock. And it was 40 degrees this morning because it was cold. But they were there, and as you'll see from the pictures, the line started at the entrance, went all the way across the front of the building, and towards around one of the sides. There was a large amount of support for this opening this morning. But the important message, I think, to take from the opening of the Lidl store is that starting last year, I tried to start talking about this story, the storyline of South Cobb, because I just didn't believe that what people were saying about it was true. I can tell you right now, Lidl would not have put 2 stores in South Cobb of that quality unless they were sure there was a market for it. So South Cobb, like for the last 2 years, has been the trendsetter in building residential properties, and now it's starting to take the forefront in development, along with the other developments we see around here. So everybody now is fully engaged in this economic game. And this morning, I was really pleased to be part of a grand opening, and there's going to be another one for their second store next month.
Yeah, if you don't drive down there very often, then when you go back, you'll be surprised at the things you see have popped up.
Well, I get down to South Cobb, as I do the other parts of the county, a lot, and we still have some gaps down there, but there's clearly a renaissance in South Cobb in many different ways. And Commissioner Cobb has done a great job in her time in office to lead this comeback. And we're going to continue, as the state is, and these other economic and business, along with the chamber, to find ways to bring jobs to Cobb County, and also including South Cobb, because when people have jobs, that means they pay taxes, and when they pay taxes, we continue to have the amenities we have here in the county.
And I know you recently put in some volunteer time down there, because I saw some garbage bags.
Yes, Saturday, my wife Judy and Lucky, the first dog of Cobb County, we got up early and went down there and walked along part of Powder Springs, Old Powder Springs Road. That's part of the Mableton Improvement Coalition efforts down there. They have a lot of programs. So it's good to see Joe Cope and Carolyn Turner and a lot of other people down that we know from South Cobb, and we did our part just to clean up some of the mess down there. As you know, the last budget, we hired more teams to start policing the county down there, picking up garbage. And it's an ongoing battle. As I go around the county, I will call Rob Hosack or Erica Perica and say, look, I'm on this road right now. We need to have one of the team take a look at this road. And they'll pick it up, and then I'll go back a couple days later, and it's like mushrooms, the trash is back. So this is an issue that's never going to go away. But between volunteer organizations like the Mableton Improvement Coalition, the South Cobb Lions, and what we're doing in the county, we're gonna try and keep a handle on this and be responsive to phone calls from the residents.
I noticed we are scheduling some pretty aggressive town hall meetings coming up in March, in which there's a variety of topics I think you want to touch on.
Yeah, all right. Why would you say aggressive? Just because we're going to do 16 of them?
Yeah, that's pretty aggressive.
Yeah. Well, my plan right now is to do 2-a-days. That'll be familiar to a lot of people who just play sports. We're going to have 8 town halls in different locations, and each one of these locations is going to have 2 town halls per day. One's going to be sometime probably in the middle of the afternoon for people who do not want to drive at night. And then we're going to follow that evening with another town hall for people who work during the day and can't come during the day. But yesterday and today, I did a dress rehearsal for the presentation for these town halls, because the town halls are going to do three things. They're going to allow us to show people what we did with the millage rate that we got from them last year, because we've already had a lot of stuff for that money that we got from the new millage rate. I want to show them, if they've not already seen in the media or other places, what my proposals are for budgetary priorities are for 2020. And then third of all, to start this discussion, this almost 2-year discussion on the transit and transportation issues, which definitely face this county. And at that time, we'll talk about the results of the transportation study and the transportation survey, and how that's going to lead into the comprehensive transportation plan revision, which will generate the projects that we plan to propose in the 2021 referendum for transit and transportation projects.
Right. When it comes to the town halls, and you talking about the fiscal year 20 budget, you've been on the record before saying no millage rate increase.
Correct.
For the county general fund, and
right.
But you also have some pretty solid priorities for the coming year.
Oh, absolutely. My number one priority for 2020 budget is a pay raise for the employees. Yeah, we address the inequities of public employees versus the private sector by bringing them up to the mid-market level by the board last 2017 approving the pay and class study. But that only addressed 45% of the employees. So we now have to, now that we've got everybody back within a certain market range where we can be competitive with the private sector, now we need to start what I call a cost of living allowance or merit raise to address their issues that life gets more expensive every day because of inflation, but also to make it competitive and to use it as a sustainable force to get people to stay with the county. There's other things on there, and you'll see that here, you know, if you haven't seen it last week, maybe Ross will throw it up here. The other priorities, of course, are making sure that every library in the county has hours on Sunday, eliminating the senior fees, which I know are very popularly received by the seniors, reducing the water transfer rate, and things like that.
Yeah, and it's going to be different than last year's town halls, obviously.
I would hope so.
Yeah, in the format. So maybe more of a kind of a give and take.
There'll be a lot more give and take, because the majority of time I want to spend on hearing from the people what they think about transit and transportation once they see what the products of the survey and the transit study have produced.
Yeah. All right, busy week this week, and it's not going to let up. I think we have a lot more stuff coming up. As we schedule the town hall dates, we will put them, of course, on all our social media and our website, cobbcounty.org. So please subscribe to all those services and the newsletters.
Absolutely.
To keep up to date on everything, and we'll see you back here next week.
I look forward to it.
All righty, thanks.
Thank you.